Good evening. This is the Town of East Lyme Board of Selectmen notice of public hearing regarding an ordinance titled Ordinance Authorizing the Use of Automated Traffic Enforcement Safety Devices. Notice is hereby given of a public hearing to be held by the East Lyme Board of Selectmen immediately following the town meeting that commenced at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025 at the East Lyme Town Hall, 108 Pennsylvania Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, to consider the ordinance titled Ordinance Authorizing the Use of Automated Traffic Enforcement Safety Devices. Copies of the full text of the proposed ordinance are on file for public inspection at the office of the East Lyme Town Clerk at 108 Pennsylvania Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, and at www.eltownhall.com, to which reference may be had. Interested parties are invited to attend and be heard. The Board of Selectmen may make changes to the language of the proposed ordinance as a result of information presented in the public hearing, and this is dated at East Lyme, Connecticut. That was on the 19th day of November, 2025. So, if there is anyone that would like to address the Board of Selectmen regarding this ordinance, if you have observations or concerns, now is your time to address the board. I would ask that when you do, you stand at the podium. Please recite your name and your address so we have that for the record. Is there anyone that would like to be heard this evening? Please approach.
Thank you. Lisa McGowan, 33 Spinnaker. Congratulations on all the new people and the old people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. No, okay. Yeah, I would like to address the board. I don't know if anybody saw the article in the Hartford Courant concerning the American Civil Liberties Union of Connecticut called for a temporary moratorium on automated license plate readers throughout the state until the lawmakers take action to regulate them, citing privacy concerns. Some of the examples that the article talked about were our special citizens in Connecticut, our very tenuous people, some of the new arrivals and the new immigrants could be targeted. Our medical patients that may be coming to our state for gender-affirming care or abortion care may or may not be targeted by these automated license plate readers. Nobody knows where this data is going, so I respectfully ask the board to consider a moratorium on the license plate readers for speeding. Thank you.
Normally, I think the format is people are allowed to make comments and we listen.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so.
I also think that there's other things that might seem less innocuous to people, someone who's going through a contentious divorce or a child custody hearing. You know, you just never know what the license plate readers are going to do. You don't know. We don't know enough to just blanket say, yes, we should do it. So I would just maybe advise caution or maybe even hold. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
Yeah. Come on up.
Good evening. Those are all great concerns and questions. The town ordinance that's being discussed or considered this evening is not a license plate reader program. That is something, as referenced the article in the Hartford Courant and a number of other newspapers circulating. That's a topic that we're in discussions with attorneys with other police chiefs within our organization and the ACLU over. The town ordinance is a speed camera program. This doesn't store the same type of information, doesn't allow law enforcement to flag certain people or license plates, doesn't allow us to share any information with other states or federal agencies. So the concerns are, although very valid and great points and timely points, they're not germane to this ordinance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joshua Caskey, 1 Groomsway, East Lyme, Connecticut. I would say I'm in support of this ordinance here in Connecticut. I think many studies have shown in the past that implementation of speed cameras in areas where there have been instances of many people speeding It's been shown in New York City, along with a review by the Cochrane Policy Institute, that by instituting traffic speed cameras, it does reduce the proportion of people speeding. It reduces how much they speed by, as well as decreasing the amount of severe and fatal crashes, including those of vulnerable road users, including pedestrians, cyclists, and people using mobility aids. Some of the things that I heard about being issues include the bias of the cameras being a potential issue, of potentially causing increased enforcement that is not equitable for people of minorities. In Chicago, that was found to be the case by ProPublica. However, I do caution the rejection of this ordinance based solely on that bias, because as long as the cameras are placed in a data-focused manner on areas that are focused only on data of crashes, of speeding violations, etc., that reduces the risk of bias. In addition, bias is already present in traffic crash victims. Minority people and people who walk in low-income areas are 3 times as likely to be killed by drivers as a result of speeding compared to those walking in wealthy areas. That is largely due to dangerous roads being more common in lower income areas, roads that are very fast, roads that are hard to cross. One example might be like 161. It's not the nicest place to walk around in. 5 lanes wide, 6 lanes wide at some points, along with higher speeds, also contribute to increased traffic fatalities. For example, speeding at 40 miles an hour has a 46% fatality rate on pedestrians compared to only 8% for pedestrians when a vehicle is going 20 miles an hour. So keeping the speed low is an incredible way to promote safety of particularly the pedestrians. I've also seen that the use of funds is directed to improving transportation mobility, investing in transportation infrastructure improvements, and cost of cameras. I think a potential idea for improvement to that statement would be focusing that funding to projects that improve traffic safety, such as improving sidewalk connectivity on West Main Street, where there are currently no sidewalks, improving traffic calming at areas like the Boston Post Road by Flanders Elementary School. That would actually not only reduce speeding, but it would also promote equity again by promoting safety of those people who are already present in those dangerous areas. Yeah, and that's. I would just again say that I would strongly encourage you to support this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for your comments. Good evening. Could you
Good evening.
identify yourself for the record, please?
Chris Haney, 124 North Barbara Road. I have a couple questions and a couple comments. One is, I don't know where these cameras are going. The other thing I haven't heard any questions. If it's 45 miles an hour, how much are we paying them? How much are we paying the state? I know back in the day, when guys around here used to give tickets, the town got about $6 out of that. I don't know what it is now. And the state's going to mandate where that money goes. I know I heard possibly hiring another police officer. Well, you know what that police officer is going to do? He's going to be up there, people are going to be appealing, and that money's just going to get washed over to that. I did hear possibly around the schools, the middle school. Most of those people are the ones dropping off their kids, picking their kids up. Also, you got the community center. That's where the older people are going. Where are these people going after? They don't have the money. They're going to Care and Share. They don't have money to get their food. Now we're going to give them tickets. I mean, Boston Post Road, speed limit's 35 miles an hour. Nobody goes 35 miles an hour at Boston Post Road. I live on Broderick Road. Speed limit's 25 miles an hour. Nobody goes 25 miles an hour. I don't go 25. My truck will not go 25. I think there's some questions that need to be asked by you guys, the board. I just don't think we're ready for this. There's certain places that are, but where are the cameras going? Nyack Center School, there's not speeding there because you have a four-way. You have a stop sign. The high school, you know who's speeding? Are the kids. Who's paying for that? The parents. So I think you guys need to open up a little bit, ask some of these questions, and if we know where the cameras are, I'd like to know where they're at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on.
Chief?
So I can answer a few of those questions for you. 100% of the fines come back to the town of East Lyme. The state doesn't take any percentage or any cost share at all. These are not infractions that's governed by the state of Connecticut. They are fines associated with the town ordinance, the town of East Lyme. In terms of locations, we don't know the locations yet. This is a process that starts with the town ordinance, either the Board of Selectmen adopting the town ordinance or not adopting the town ordinance after the public hearing. The next step, which wouldn't occur within weeks or even a month or two, would be application to the Department of Transportation where proposed locations would be considered. There's a number of things that go into that. Speed study, data, crash data analysis, the appropriateness of the location to ensure that the owners of the vehicles or potentially drivers of the vehicles aren't disproportionately negatively impacted. That minority is not disproportionately impacted. One of the things we would take in consideration for the first steps for location determination would be school zones to provide more safety for the school-age children, not to penalize the parents of the children. But each location that we propose would go to a public hearing first. And the comments from the public hearing would be taken in consideration for us proposing it to the state. It's also taken in consideration by the Department of Transportation prior to approval of a location.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard?
Hi, Jim Craddock, 31 Patagonia Drive. And just from my experience, I'm in favor of putting in the speed reductions. Pulling out of Patagonia Drive goes to Islanda Court, which intersects Boston Post Road. And it is really, the speeds have just increased over the years. We've been there 38 years. We have some of our neighbors now who are pulling out of Islanda Court. If you're familiar, we're down by the boat launch there. And if you make a left toward the post office, we almost have to go straight ahead to get across the road, and then we can start veering left to go up Boston Post Road. Really a dangerous situation. I fear for a few of the elderly people, older than I am on the street, we will not go up Islanda Court. They'll go straight down toward those new condos that have been built on there along the dirt road, and then enter Boston Post Road that way. So it's really, we've talked to Joe and in Public Works, and they have their group come out and they cut some of the overgrowth that helps for the visibility, but it's really a difficult situation, especially at night. And some of the people, it's in excess of 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, and you just have to look right, look left, and step on the gas and hope for the best. So anything to reduce the speed limits would be greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate that.
Jamie Bar Shelburne, 31 Macco. McElhaney Drive. I have a few questions, and I know it's not a question answer. One of them would be, who's calibrating these things to make sure they're actually accurate? I was on my way to the middle school the other day, and that Society Road camera caught me doing 22 to 39, and I was doing 30. It bounced around for the speeds for a little while, and I was the only car on the street. So my question is, who's calibrating and making sure they're accurate? Two, while I appreciate the need for safety in the town, I don't appreciate the money grab. I mean, I walk every day on Main Street, and I get almost hit every single day in the crosswalks because people are looking at their phones and not where they're going. They are also speeding, but they're also looking at their phones, and there's nobody there to enforce it. So that, two, I highly would ask that they would be in the school zones at Niantic Center School, which is where my district is. I see people run the red lights several times a day, speeding through those, doing like 60. And it's really scary going through there. But I think that more of a police presence versus the cameras clicking away. I know they do it on the highway. I don't still people doing 80 through the highway, even though they're getting clicked on there. I just don't know how efficient it will be in getting people to slow down. I'm sure the paper was wrong with this $1 million a week thing. I don't know where that's coming from, and I think that's a pie in the sky, and I don't think that the taxpayers of East Lyme should have to pay $1 million a week to drive through the streets of East Lyme.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Chris Haney again, 124 North Barbary Road. The comment was that the state is not involved. So what happens if the people don't pay? I mean, motor vehicle's not going after them because they're the state. If they are, they're getting money. That's my question.
So to go in order, in terms of calibration, the vendor that's selected by the Board of Selectmen is responsible for the calibration of the equipment. That is available through a request for the documentation for the calibration. The speed signs that were referenced are for display only. I believe those are owned by the Department of Public Works, and I can't speak to if those are calibrated or by who or how often. As far as a money grab or an excess tax to the drivers of East Lyme, residents of East Lyme, or people driving through East Lyme, the goal of this speed camera enforcement program isn't to generate funds. That is a side effect, unfortunately, but the goal is to reduce the number of speeding violations. The vendor that I've been in communication with, who deploys cameras all over the country, and including Connecticut, states that well within a year, the reduction of speeding violations exceeds 90%. So the numbers that were quoted in the newspaper, I think, were just grabs from the video when I was answering a question a few weeks ago. Those aren't accurate predictions of revenue at all, by any means. But the overall goal is to reduce the number of speeding violations for general public safety. And of course, as a chief of police, I would rather have police officers in all of these problem locations running radar, interacting with the public in a positive way, elevating the level of public safety, but it's not realistic. We don't have enough police officers, and we never will. No municipalities will have enough police officers to deploy their resources in every problem location. These speed cameras are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They could be expanded and reduced scale-wise at any time. In terms of if somebody does not pay, that's right, it's not associated with your operator's license or registration because it's not an infraction governed by the state. The town would have the option to pursue this through civil means, whether that's a debt collector or through civil court.
Thank you.
Joshua Caskey, One Groom's Way again. I would agree that with the gentleman from North Bridebrook, that a lot of people, I mean, it doesn't. A lot of the roads in East Lyme don't feel like they're really geared towards the posted speed limit. A lot of the times, I mean, people, they drive 10, 15 miles above the speed limit. And I think that's definitely part of the issue with this. Like speed cameras, they're not going to be the silver bullet to this. It's going to be through the police enforcement. It's going to be through the traffic cameras. But I also believe that making our streets safer, make people feel like they have to go slower instead of being forced to by these speed cameras is another way to bring down the speeding without causing people to get ticketed needlessly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else that would like to comment this evening? Going twice? Any further comments? Third time. Any further comments? Being none, do I hear a motion to close the meeting?
I move to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. Meeting closed. Thank you, everyone that was here for that meeting, and appreciate your comments. There's a lot to it, and we will do our best to figure it out. We did. We have none. Okay, so I didn't think so. All right. So next is our regular Board of Selectmen meeting of December 3rd, 2025. We're in the upper meeting room. I'll gavel us in. All right, call the meeting to order. If we could rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we are going to, you'll do that? Okay, great. Okay. So, are there any additional agenda and consent calendar items?
I have one.
Okay.
I move to add agenda items number 3C to appoint Deputy First Selectman and 3D to appoint Second Deputy First Selectman.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. So that'll be 3C and then 3D. Are there any public delegations here this evening that would like to address the Board of Selectmen? Public delegations? Okay. Next is the approval of the minutes. First is the public hearing of November 19th, 2025. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the public hearing minutes of November 19th, 2025 as submitted.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or corrections to the minutes?
Yes, so, you look at page 1, it's the second line from the bottom. It says, who also owners the cleaners, so I think that's supposed to be owns the cleaners. I just think
Yes.
it's a typo.
Yes, that's, I would agree. So we'll make that it
Are you with me?
on that? You good?
Okay, just want
Okay.
to make sure you got it, okay. Yeah, that was it.
All right, any other changes? All right, if there are none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next are the regular meeting minutes of November 19th, 2025. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the regular meeting minutes of November 19th, 2025 as submitted.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. Any discussion, any changes that we're aware of? No? We're all set? All right, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, do I hear a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move to approve the consent calendar for December 3rd, 2025 in the amount of $920.84.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm having trouble finding it. Sorry. Oh,
You want a copy of my copy?
I got it.
Okay. Give you a moment.
Oh, no, that's...
You good? All right. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Old business. Before we hit old business, there were a couple of items that we had on the last agenda that we did not carry over because the people that we needed to address are not here. One was the NIP funding. So we will, Kevin Gervais is not with us tonight. And we have the NIP funding and then the bond resolutions, which would require Ben North. So we will try to get those on to the next agenda. Hopefully they'll both be available and be able to continue moving forward. So old business, discussion and possible action, automated ticketing ordinance. So here we go. Where should we start? Cindy? You want to have any comments? or-
This is her first
This is my
meeting.
first
You know, it's your first meeting. We'll go the other, hold on, we'll start with Roseanne.
I
Wanna
had several questions.
startle you.
I had several questions at the last meeting that we had, and I believe that those questions were satisfactorily answered. So I don't have anything else.
Okay. Jason, I know you had some concerns last time about certain aspects.
Yeah, so I have some questions. Some of them are kind of the details, and then some of them are kind of like the bigger picture. So where do I start? I guess I'll start with the big picture stuff. I have always kind of regarded law enforcement and law in general as something of that falls within the realm of the humanities, like philosophy or literature. It's a human endeavor. And this strikes me as an approach to kind of take it from the realm of humanities and put it into the realm of kind of the science and engineering, which I think is a big conversation that not just what we need to have here in town, but we as a society need to have. And I think that's this is one of those conversations. I don't tend to argue the slippery slope kind of mentality, but I wonder if this speed camera goes up, how might that be used in subsequent administrations? I feel like once they're up, they will not go down. Once the time and money is invested in putting them in and developing the infrastructure, that they will remain up, and that perhaps something will be added to this as capabilities become more complicated, more complex. So, though I try and stay away from slippery slope stuff, that my mind can't help but think about that. Also, I like Chris was thinking about the funding scheme, and if these things do their job and everyone's speed drops to where it needs to be, the income would be zero. And if they don't do their job, we create kind of this Mobius strip where the money that's coming in for it is paying for the people who are observing these and processing these tickets, creating kind of a weird incentive for these folks to continue finding the money that's paying their salary. Perhaps I'm not understanding the funding scheme, but that's something that strikes me as strange. If the goal is to reduce speeding, I don't know how that money coming in could become part of the funding structure. And the idea that the data does not ever come to us for public review or does not go to institutions for academic review just strikes me as inappropriate, frankly. I mean, this is public data. The money is going to become public money. It'll sit on public infrastructure. I do not see why it should become proprietary information. And what is done with that, Lisa spoke to, maybe this is going to outside folks we don't know about. I do believe that was an issue in another state where the information being gathered from cameras went to immigrations and customs enforcement agents. And I don't know if the town wants to be party to that at this time. And the idea of, just privacy in general, like there has been a degradation of a reasonable expectation of privacy in public for a long time. And I think we as a people have been feeling okay about that because we have these phones that are tracking us and finding our vital signs and sending that off to the internet. But I think there is a real need to kind of create spaces in public where people can exist without the understanding and expectation that they will be scrutinized and quantified. Perhaps someone is going through a divorce, perhaps someone's kid is getting gender affirming care. They came up here from another state because they couldn't have that handled. Maybe that information would come back to the state and endanger that family. This sounds like technophobe paranoia, but I believe in this conversations need to happen. It's a real possibility, and we might find ourselves involved in a very large philosophical discussion about what's the point of what we're doing and why we're doing it and how it's done. Now I know people get pretty tired of my big idea talk, so talking about the more nitty-gritty stuff, I understand that these are not criminal, not civil. There's some other component. I think the term is civil infraction, civil citation.
Infraction.
And as Chief Glenn noted, the town is the one that would have to kind of go forward with how we collect this, whether that's referring people to debt services or through the courts. So, Gesundheit, our options for if people don't pay seem kind of onerous to us and to the people of East Lyme. Not to mention that in terms of equity, a lot of these people who would be driving, there's a whole range of people with a ton of money and a ton of experience and education, and people who have little to nothing. The folks who have little to nothing, who tend to be transient, who move around, who are embroiled in the legal system, often have summons sent to the wrong address. They might have moved, and it might have been 2 addresses ago, and they just don't get the documentation. And I know this is not just me making stuff up. This happens to me. Things get lost in the mail, especially when you are kind of transient. So I worry that these things start out no criminal, no issue, but they compound because they say, oh, you didn't pay this, now we're going to come after you. Now you have to pay for court fees, or a debt collector is going to be hounding you at your work. So logistically, there seems like a lot of pieces to this. This is why I think it's important that law enforcement remain in the realm of humanities, because these are humans, and humans are complicated and have messy lives. And I don't think a robot on top of a tower with a really high-powered lens necessarily has the capacity to understand that humanity. Let's see, what else did I want to say? I appreciate you all being so patient with me.
No.
There's a lot to this.
So now, some of the questions that you're asking, do you want Chief Glenn to come up and answer, or?
At the moment, I think I
No.
would like to just get it out, because I've had a lot of time to think about this.
Yeah. Keep going.
And yes, I would love to hear answers to these. So I do see us creating a potential inequity and causing potential issues with welcoming people into, criminal court or debt services that maybe would not be, like if it just went to someone who has had stable housing, they get the notice, they pay the notice, the end. That's one thing for them. But if you don't have stable housing or your records are not up to date, you could be penalized in criminal court for that. Also, I do believe, like I was building towards this humanities thing, I think humans need to do the job of law enforcement. And I know that there are sometimes grants available to hire people to do speed trap enforcement. And I mean, that would create a situation where we have more humans doing the work. And if there is ever a case where, my gosh, all the officers in town are elsewhere and something new happens, we would have another person in town who could perhaps say, okay, I'm going to put down my speed gun and pick up, my badge and go to work doing the police work that I was trained to do. I don't think you're going to get that kind of versatility out of a speed camera. They're 24/7. That's their only role. So, let's say 3 officers are embroiled in some kind of domestic dispute or fire over here, and something happens up at 95. A robot can catch people driving quickly, but it will not necessarily be impactful for public safety. And finally, the details that I really want to focus on here, I don't think anyone has made a compelling case that this is anything more than a solution looking for a problem. At the last meeting, Chief Glenn offered us some data, and the newspaper quoted me as saying they were hard to absorb. I would just like to tell the newspaper I'm very good at absorbing numbers, but it's very helpful if I see kind of the data that is saying this is an issue, because that'll help us get a sense of the scale and the scope and the severity of the issue, and then we can tailor our solution to the scale and scope of the problem. This seems like we have the technology. Great, that's a tool, but just because we have that tool doesn't mean we absolutely should use it to solve a problem that may not exist. I'm well aware of Josh's point about fatalities and vulnerable people. I think part of the issue is the size and mass of cars that are being driven, and each pedestrian interaction becomes more fatal each mile an hour you go up, especially with larger vehicles. I don't know if that was necessarily accounted for in the ProPublica study you cited. Again, I would love to see this. I would love to see the data. Because right now it feels to me like this technology is coming online. It could be implemented in this way, but should it be implemented in this way? Is this a problem? And if it is a problem, let's solve it, and let's look at the array of options before we just say, we have this capability, let's put it in place, because I think it invites a host of serious issues that we need to have long conversations about and thoughtful discussion. And I think I'm going to bring this plane in for a landing, and I appreciate you guys all letting me
Thank you.
speak my piece.
Thank you. A lot of food for thought.
Okay. I would like,
Yeah, do you want to
Do you
respond, or you
mind
want to wait till
coming
the
up,
end?
please?
or-
Otherwise,
Just-
it's going to be too
yeah.
many things
Yeah,
to
yeah.
think.
and thank you for doing so.
Could you repeat that question?
Gladly.
So if you do, all can decide, if you do want to give me some bullets I can answer specifically, there was a lot of information thrown out there. I learned over the last 25 years in law enforcement to have respectful conversations with people who have different perspectives and different ideologies about what law enforcement should be or shouldn't be. And I completely admit I am biased when it comes to public safety. I've held children on the side of the road after they were hit by a car. I've knocked on the door and met parents at 2 o'clock in the morning to tell them that their teenage child was killed in a traffic collision. So I know that those examples and that experience and the years of doing that has created biases. So I'm certainly open for new thoughts and new ideas. And I would love to interact in a conversational or back and forth manner. So if just maybe one at a time.
One at a time. Question?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll start with the one you said earlier in response to Chris's question that 100% of the funds come back to the town. That can't be correct because the organization that sets these up, they have a profit motive and they're investing in this infrastructure. So it can't be 100%, right? You misspoke when you said that.
I didn't. I said 100% of the fines come back to the town. There's an administrative cost that funds the vendor.
Got it.
And isn't that the additional like $15
It
or
is.
something that's added onto the ticket?
That's
right?
correct.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see, what would be appropriate? You had mentioned that the funding, the manpower, or the personnel that was required to make this happen, you would need to bring in additional officers. And I know that you're not necessarily the one that creates the funding structure. Maybe that would be our job, but could you elaborate on a way that would reduce the risk of incentives, I guess? You know, people seeing these things being like, oh, this is clearly a fine, when really they're saying this is clearly, you know, paying my salary.
Sure, I think that's a great question and a great point. There's been examples of that throughout the country, not necessarily in Connecticut, where in rural areas or sheriff managed areas where the incentive to give infractions or make arrests directly correspond with the funding associated with the police department. At times, some sheriffs would get bonuses because of the levels of enforcement. This isn't the case. Now, one of the areas that the restricted funding is allowed to be spent, as outlined by state law and echoed in the town ordinance, just one small part of it, is to facilitate the program, basically the cost of the program. So we would absorb the viewing and approval of the information that the vendor sends us, which would then trigger the ticket going out. The amount of tickets going out wouldn't be dependent or relied on to fund those officers. If the number of approvals or the time associated with an increase of approvals needed, if there is an incidence of that, then the funding would scale upwards also, which would then be able to fund overtime if needed. If it becomes so time-consuming that it could fund additional positions. This does not have to be a police officer position. This just has to be an employee of the police department. It could be a clerk, it could be a secretary, it could be anybody, a civilian employee.
Okay. Some of the speakers this evening brought up the point of people being on their phones, so distracted driving, blowing through red lights. There is obviously going to be overlap, but these are separate infractions, correct? Distracted driving is separate from a speeding ticket.
Correct.
Blowing through a red light would be separate from a speeding ticket.
Correct.
So this would not actually go forward helping with their concerns.
No, cameras would not address cell phone or distracted driving violations.
I think it does, though, did say in the ordinance that if you want, there could be a time where they put it for going through a red light. Is that
The
correct?
ordinance would authorize that.
Yeah, okay, that's what I remember reading.
Okay. I guess the judicial portion of this about, like I was talking about, the fines compounding, going to criminal court, that's kind of beyond your purview as a officer, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
That'd be up
so
to the
you
town.
can't speak to that. All right. I would ask the question, and I don't know if it would do any of us good right now. Like, I would like to see data. Last time that I asked, you know, you presented the data, but it was not in a form that I could digest, or absorb. I'm hoping at some point in this process we get that data so we can see what is the scale of this? What is the scope of this problem? And I mean, there's definitely anecdotes, like you have anecdotes from folks here in the room. You yourself have anecdotes in you, but you know, that's, in terms of setting public policy, we can't rely on anecdotal data. We need the actual data. So I don't know if there's even room in this. There must be room to say we're not going to make a decision tonight until we look at this data, if that's what the board considers, correct?
We don't have to make a decision.
Okay, so I guess that's not a question you could answer right now, or that I'm ready to absorb right now.
I could shed some light on that, and what
Okay.
that process would look like. If the town of East Lyme wanted to conduct their own speech studies through a vendor, it would cost the town of East Lyme money to do so. So there would be a cost associated with that. The typical path to addressing that would be, first, the town ordinance. This is just the legal authority of the town of East Lyme to start this program. The speech study would be funded by the vendor at their cost. And that's why there is this administrative fee. It's very expensive to run this program, but they do it based on the administrative fees. And once the ordinance is passed and we're in the application process or approaching the application process with the Department of Transportation, identifying locations, then they would fund the speed study and give us the data that they produce from those studies.
So in other words, we don't have that data available to us and won't unless we pass this ordinance and receive grants to pay for the speed studies.
I don't believe there's any grants that would fund that. It would have to be taxpayer funded. I have access to the data that has been extracted from the speed studies. It's proprietary, and the vendor won't allow me to share it with anybody at this point. And remember, they're a business. They're not here for charity or for, you know, just public interest. They're there to make money, so they're going to protect that data. They already spent the money to fund that study.
Can I jump in just for one quick question? It might
I
help
think
clarify.
I'm good. If
Do you mind?
Yeah.
So, if I understood what you said earlier, you said that if we pass the ordinance, then the vendor would do the crash data analysis, and also the State Department of Transportation, right? They determine, after looking at the data, where we should put these cameras. At that point, you would come back to the Board of Selectmen for each camera that is, or is that
No,
not true?
it would go to a public hearing for each location.
A public hearing for each location.
And the
okay.
comments for each public hearing would be part of the packet for the application to DOT.
Okay, and then who makes that determination after that public hearing?
The Department of Transportation.
Department of Transportation would, okay. So people at that time could come and object or agree to, let's say if they want to put it next to the high school, say, that they
Correct.
could come and say, oh, this is why it should be there or shouldn't be there.
That's right.
All right. Does that help clarify it for you? A
Yes.
little bit? Okay. All right.
I think I'm good with questions.
Good?
Yes.
Very interesting.
Okay, so I went, oh, you're on the hot seat for a while. Don't move. I went to a Connecticut, what's it called, CCM conference, and I went to something about the biggest issues in town out of the 169 towns in Connecticut. And I was shocked. The number one problem in every town in Connecticut is speeding. We spent 2 hours in literally with like 100 different, first selectmen and people, whatever, discussing speeding, how to try to prevent it. Like, I thought it was just a problem in East Lyme. I was floored. I could not believe it. And people have tried different things. They've tried the, what do they call it, rumble, where they have the rumble strips, and that has to be approved by DOT. And there was a DOT person there who was like in our group, and a lot of the stuff has to go through the Department of Transportation. But I live over by the high school, by 161. It is so dangerous there, and I have been petrified since we moved in that somebody is going to get killed, some kid, literally. Now they have a light there by the high school. People are familiar with that. And even then, the light is flashing, the kids are going to cross. I don't see them. I am looking. My husband went the other day, and he's like, you know, it's 8 o'clock at night, and they just run. They're wearing dark clothes. It is so hard to see them. So I understand, you know, what Jason's saying, but, you know, I would prefer to save a life. And, you know, maybe it's just the basics, but, you know, if something happened to a child, you know, you just, you know, I think I could tell people, you know, it's your choice to speed or not speed. You know, as I said before, I usually go 10 above the speed limit, and once I hit 11, I go down. I have now started going 5 above the speed limit because I'm like, I'm not paying any extra money. I'm not. I'd rather go out to dinner than have to spend money on a citation. I guess my question would be, have other less intrusive measures been used to try to slow drivers down in East Lyme that
Sure.
you know of? And could you like elaborate just for the people listening and for us?
On their efficacy, that kind of thing?
Just what's been done to try to get drivers to slow down their speed.
On the law enforcement side, we have documented and run radar and laser speed enforcement. That takes at least one police officer to park a marked vehicle on the side of the road and manually take a speed of each car that's passing. If a high speed is detected, that police officer would then pull out in traffic, attempt to stop the motor vehicle, have an interaction with that driver, issue a ticket that starts at $171. That's just for 10 miles an hour over the limit and escalates from there up to $300 per ticket. And then clears that call, fills out paperwork, fills out racial profiling, stop statistics, provides the driver with information how to complain about the police officer if they feel that they were mistreated or if they were targeted for any protected class or any other reason. And then that officer would go back in service to the same spot on the side of the road and do the same cycle. Each stop would take 15 to 20 minutes, and that officer is only available to do that when they're not on other calls for service throughout town. It also takes officers away from deterring crime, from providing a presence, a police presence in neighborhoods, in business districts, in our school areas, having positive interactions with the public. So we've made efforts, just like most police departments throughout the state, through that manual speed enforcement.
Okay. And then another question, I don't know if you can answer this or not because it sounds like Public Works put it up. There's like over by Niantic Center School, they have the I think it's speed limit 25, and then they have the machine that clocks you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you guys can monitor, like how fast or how many people are going there? Is that something that...
It is. That collects more data than you would realize. It doesn't have a camera. It's not capturing a photo of the driver or the license plates, but it gives us vehicle counts on roadways. It gives us a whole range of speeds. Typically, when conducting speed studies or evaluating speed calming measures, the state goes off of the 85th percentile. So you throw away the high flyers, maybe the fire truck going to a fire or somebody driving 10 miles an hour delivering newspapers. The 85th percentile is one of the factors that comes into play when determining the actual speed limit of most roadways, believe it or not. It's what a natural person would drive on that roadway.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of the factors. There's others. So we can use those signs to determine possible locations to focus on and do more speed studies, crash data analysis, observations, and things like that.
Okay. So I know you said after the data is collected, people pay the citation, right? Can they pay via a check? Because it was saying that personally identifiable information included like your credit card information and bank information. So I was just wondering, because I know there's certain people in town who are not, computer illiterate or
Sure.
have iPhones, that kind of thing.
We can customize that so it can be as easy for people who are savvy enough to do it, paying with credit card, debit card through the portal. We could set it up so somebody can send a check in the mail, or we could set it up where people can respond to the police department and pay with cash and check and receive a hard copy receipt.
Okay, great. And, let me see. I guess, how long would the data stay on either, the vendor's computer or the police computer? And what data would that be specifically, I guess?
So there's a range of different data points, things such as the calibration records, the contract between the town of East Lyme and the vendor, any communications, those would remain. Those are FOIable through the town, through the vendor themselves. The personal identifiable information, that will stay with North Haven up until the opportunity for appeal is complete. That information is purged. We don't house any other information. The vendor would keep certain information in their database to be able to track that second offense within a year, which is a higher fine, $75 as opposed to $50. Some of that information is FOIable, even though they're a private industry. They're subcontractors for us. They're vendors of the town, but some of it's protected.
So if it's FOIable, so would they be able to, let's say if a news reporter wanted to FOIA, would they get like people's names of like the drivers, or would they just get like, oh, these are the number of vehicles that were speeding at over a month, say?
The general information.
The general information,
Yeah.
so not something that would identify like me or you.
Right, right, and that goes along, it's probably from the same paragraph where you talk about credit card numbers and
Yeah,
addresses
okay.
and things like that.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, I guess the only other comment I wanted to make is that I feel like when the cameras are being used, you're only getting the license plate of the car. So I don't understand, and I guess I'm just trying to respond to Jason more than you, how there would be a bias, because, if I'm driving the car, the camera doesn't know, who I am. They just have the license plate.
Right.
So I guess that's kind of, I think if you could identify the driver and all that other stuff, you know what I mean, the way a policeman does when he pulls you over, I think there's more bias when you're pulled over, versus, the camera is, neutral, they don't know, they're just seeing a license plate.
Is that a question for me?
No, I'm just trying to respond. It's not really a question. I'm just kind of speaking, just saying, how I'm thinking of the bias. I don't really see it as bias. And I think given the fact that they're going to look at the data to see, where people are speeding, the school zones, where you really want to protect, children and pedestrians. Yeah, people, and I don't know if it's just since COVID, but people everywhere just, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if you see it, but everybody's speed has just increased. And I don't know what the reason is, but it just seems to be like that. So, yeah, I think that's where I am on that. Okay?
I could speak to that point. What I was trying to make last meeting, you mean, about the bias developing? So, this was tried before in automating mortgage applications, trying to reduce bias, because they said, well, if I don't see a person in front of me, how can I have bias against them? So everybody kind of started going to this automated system, and what was found out was that there was bias built into literally the programming, the algorithm that created this system, because it was programmed by humans, and humans have inherent bias, which I think would be replicated here. The difference, and I mean, the bias was verifiable. It was verifiable only under public scrutiny, though, when the data was taken and analyzed by people who could access it. In this situation, my fear is that that information becomes proprietary to the point where we are not able to analyze it. We won't know if there's a bias. I mean, it's impossible to say whether there is or isn't a bias unless you have the data to look at it. It is possible to say that this system was developed by people, not necessarily people who have an interest in the public good. They have, like I said, profit motive. So it's hard to believe that they would have the capacity to really check for these biases. They might not even know they have them. I mean, that's how biases work. So when people make things, the spirit of the person often pervades this entity, and that's what happened with mortgages. And we found that out because it was public. I don't think we would find it out if this was private. That was my issue. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
I kind of get it. You wanna-
I guess in my understanding, I would think that if a policeman is pulling somebody over, and, you have a big guy, football player type guy, and then you have some little petite blonde,
Stereotyping.
yeah, I'm stereotyping both.
moment.
Not to mention, you said policemen. I mean, you have biases you don't even realize you're putting out there now.
What I'm saying is people, people have this. They do, and so you're probably going to have more of a bias with somebody pulling you over versus a machine. And then also the other thing is, if you don't want to be given a ticket, you slow down. So it's not like you're being targeted. It's if you know they're gonna have a big sign saying you need to slow down because there's a camera up ahead. So people should learn to slow down. It makes sense. It's to me.
I would just counter with an individual with bias is problematic, for sure. A police officer who has a bias, pulls the wrong person over, has a preconceived notion about this person, it's terrible, and I think we've all seen that it can lead to pretty drastic consequences. However, a system that is inherently biased, that is operating 24/7 a day without any public oversight, can be equally destructive, if not more destructive. And unless we have data available and eyes on it to look at and check it, we'll never know. And people's lives might not be lost. We might not lose that one person, but an entire class of people's lives could be degraded because they get these compounding civil infractions and they're thrown into the legal system. And then once they're in the legal system, I mean, there's all kinds of consequences that last your whole life. So if we only rely on anecdotal data or thinking of it from one biased person dealing with another biased person, we miss the larger picture. And if we give ourselves over to an organization that does not share the data, we can't even see the larger picture.
Well, not yet. My understanding, right? Not yet. We'll get the data once if we were to pass the ordinance. Right? So when you did come, you did bring some data where it was showing in certain areas how many people were going through those areas and really how many infractions. Is that accurate? Okay. And I remember that was kind of alarming, actually, the number of infractions. So if you're done, can we start?
I'm done. I'm sorry.
Okay. So I don't have one single solitary question for you because I've already asked, I feel like, quite a bit. And they're all on the website and in the meeting minutes. I am in favor of the ordinance. I do think that it's going to help encourage people to slow down and keep our community safer. I absolutely do. That's all.
I just had a couple of quick questions. So would people be able to argue their ticket? So they'd be able to go to court and argue the ticket if they, like, let's just say my kid was driving my car and they were the speeder, so I could make my kid pay it.
Well, that'd be a family problem because according to the law and the town ordinance, the owner of the vehicle is responsible
Okay.
for the fine.
Okay.
You could make them pay it
Uh,
at home. But there is an appeal process on the back of the
There is, okay.
ticket. It outlines how to do that. The town provides a hearing officer, and somebody can go and state their case. That would not be a winning argument, but there are certain categories that
Okay.
that would be able to be appealed.
Okay, that was my question. One other quick question. How long does this process take? Because I wasn't here for some of the stuff, the information you already gave out, and I probably need to read it all, but.
Sure. From start to finish, from the adoption of the town ordinance to actually sending out fines, about 8 months.
Okay. And one other quick question. Would we be able to, like, when they start out, like, just have those cameras going on during school hours, or would it just be 24/7?
We can tailor the program.
You can tailor it. Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'd like to follow up if I could, and then let you have the final word, Dan. So would we be able to implement this program with the current staffing?
Yes.
And the money that would be returned, how that money was used would be at our decision as to how the money was to be spent? Or are there limits?
Yes and no. They're restricted funding by law, but there are a number of different categories. And this young man who did an outstanding job tonight, he brought up one of the categories when he talked about sidewalks and calming, traffic calming projects. And those fit into those three general categories.
So we're all aware that we do have a shortage of staffing in the police department. Could we use some of that money to then perhaps use that towards improving school security? As we know, there's another problem that they are short-staffed.
No, I don't think that'd be appropriate for the restricted funding.
Right. Thank you.
So I think there was a Twilight Zone episode that tried to balance the idea of robots versus humanity. And it's not a new concern, but it's an important one. And, Jason, I always appreciate your perspective, as I do everyone here. There is this concern about bias, but yesterday when we were at this conference, I got to speak with one of the vendors that provides this service. And they provided, I believe it was Middletown, I think it was Manchester and Middletown, that they were doing the speed cameras. And, I was concerned about the treatment of the data and how it works. So I really got to explore that with one of the sales representatives. And, as they explained, and as you have explained, it's maintained for 30 days during the period where someone might be able to appeal, if they wish to appeal the ticket. But then it's wiped. It's wiped clean. There are provisions that, if the town or the ordinance wanted to treat the data differently, I believe there is a way that if it was agreed to by the Board of Selectmen or whoever the governing body is of the town, it could be funneled into a police database system. But we have control. This board can control that, and we can control that by the ordinance. And as I read our ordinance, and I understand it, that data doesn't go beyond the vendor. Now, it is a concern, this whole idea about trying to identify bias, which is from someone that's a statistician, it's a very difficult thing from a mathematical perspective to identify a bias. And that's what scientists and mathematicians, they're always trying to look for. We've got a more practical reality here. And, I think that's what you were speaking to and some of the others, that, we're worried about kids and crosswalks and people speeding by and severely injuring or killing somebody. And That's happened in our town.
It has
We've had people, pedestrians, severely injured or killed. And so in any dialogue or analysis, you have to balance the good versus the risks. And I agree. I think there's always a risk with a bias mathematically built into the system that maybe even the programmer or the coder doesn't even realize that they're programming in. But there is probably more of an opportunity for when one person is dealing with another person, our own micro biases and microaggressions that we all harbor, even though we try not to, they're there. And I think we avoid that. I think the robot avoids some of that. And I think if you balance all of it, I think I come out with, and I sit in that office and I get numerous phone calls, and Sandy will, I think, agree with me. We hear a lot of people concerned about speeding. What are you going to do about speeding? How can you control it? And the danger to our police officers to have somebody on the side of a road with a radar gun and then going out and encountering a total stranger, that risk to one of our officers, that's intolerable to me. I do not want to put our officers in that risk, and we can have a device accomplish that. And their time is much better spent solving crimes, which I think we're seeing a lot more of locally, and a much better use of our police force. So I come down with the right controls, and I think we have them in the ordinance. I'm in favor of it. And I don't have any other questions. I think they've been asked and answered for me personally. Any other comments that we want to?
I just have one more
Yeah.
comment. Just on the ordinance itself, there's just a discrepancy between,
Oh, yeah.
there's one part, let me just find it.
30 versus 60?
Yeah, 30 versus 60 days, so,
Yeah.
74.10D says, a citation shall be invalid unless mailed to an owner not later than 60 days after the alleged violation.
And then C,
And then,
page 4.
is it page, that was the page.
Page 4?
Okay.
Hold on, there's another place where it says 30 days.
It's section
Just
C.
trying to find it.
Yeah. 74.06 C.
74.06.
Section C.
Oh, yeah, there it is, okay. And then section, it says, in the case of a violation involving a motor vehicle registered in Connecticut, the citation shall be sent by first-class mail not later than 30 days after the identity of the owner is determined. So I think we've got a discrepancy between 30 and.
Yeah, where was that
60 days.
other reference to this? So I found the, all right, I got the
The
one.
first one, the second one is 74.10D.
Let's just look at it.
Let's reread it, make sure we
Yeah.
get that. So it
This one,
Any information about other
No.
So-
data?
So this one here is 30 days,
Yeah.
and then if you go to the next.
I don't see it in section D.
55,
Oh, you mean C down here?
Oh,
you
wait.
don't have that?
So wait a minute.
It's right here.
Oh, it's
top
not
of
that-
page 5.
Well, maybe you have
74.6.
different things.
Seven.
Okay.
74.10D, you have that?
Yeah, but there's no mention of 30 days or anything within there. That
Yeah.
No, there's
Do I have it
60.
different?
This one says any information and other data gathered from automated
what do I
traffic
have a
enforcement.
I
You
know.
and I
Oh,
have
wait a
the
minute,
same one.
we have the same one then.
Yeah.
I
That's
can't
what
the right
see,
one?
but I
Which
don't
one do I
have
have?
the other one.
It says the citation shall be invalid unless mailed to an owner not later than 60 days, not later than 60 days after the alleged violation.
And where are you getting that?
Page 5 at the top.
So I'm wondering.
Oh, I see it
Oh,
now.
yeah.
We have two different,
Yeah, mine's in a different place than yours.
What's happening here?
turn that page.
I see it. I see it. It's bottom of 4 and the top of 5. They're right next to each other. That's the discrepancy you're talking about. 30 days versus 60 days.
Correct.
Yes.
So
I thought 30 days is
They both
person
fall
being
under
notified.
section 74.06.
Citation shall be invalid unless mailed to an owner not. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Should be
because
30
one
days.
says no later than 30 days, and then
Should
the
be
next one
consistent.
says no later than 60.
60, yeah.
So C and D are in conflict with each other is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah, you know, again.
So this
That's
right
where
here,
mine is on
that's
that
D.
page.
Oh, okay.
That's in
the-
conflict with C. I
Yep,
think that's the point that's trying to be made.
gotcha. All right. So I think we have to get that, well, we do have to get that resolved, because it's internally inconsistent.
Yeah.
So why don't we do this? Why don't I review this with council? And let's get consensus on, let's make sure we all have the same version, let's make sure it's correct.
Yeah.
And then we will make a decision on this at the next meeting. We'll table it to the next meeting, that'll give us
I
2 weeks.
would agree to that, but I would ask, and I guess this is further discussion for the board, how we would feel about including a provision that we do have access to that data. That data becomes publicly available, like the vendor you spoke about. Maybe we could put in there that we will only deal with vendors who make the data available to the public upon request.
So
Is that,
what data are you speaking of? Maybe I'm just not following.
The data would be
The ticket
number of
people?
stops, who is, I don't know.
Are you speaking of the data that's already been collected that is not being shared because they're a business? Is that what you're talking about?
Ye-
Or are you talking about the future data
The future
that's
data.
going to be taken once the ordinance goes through? Because that data isn't going to get taken unless the ordinance goes through. Is that accurate?
can we ask the chief if he may or may not know the answer to this? Because
So you're saying the
it's
future
proprietary.
data-
It's
Yes,
proprietary
it's
data.
Data coming.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
proprietary.
Yeah, but the numbers, I would say wouldn't be proprietary, how many people have been getting citations, right?
So-
I mean, I'm assuming that's gonna be public.
Can you help us?
Sure, so I
Figure
think
this
there's
out.
two different categories. The speed study results that will be done by the vendor after the ordinance is passed, that will be made public. It will be given to anybody who wants it. The data that somebody just
Future.
referred to as far as the number of, there are no stops, but the number of fines given, we could release that. That's not identifiable information that has to come to us for approvals prior to the board, the finance department will have the invoices between themselves and the vendor to ensure that payment is processed. So that's information that would be available anyway.
So I think the question is, like, what data am I talking about? Like, what data do I want to see? I don't even know what data I want to see, but I know that anytime there's any activity with police within a town, that immediately becomes part of the public record through the newspaper's police files. Like, that information all goes out there, and there is no real protection for those people's personal information. But this seems to be like somehow a different category, I suppose.
Sure, I think, and just maybe to add one more layer of this, this isn't a police officer enforcing a law that's on the books. Some towns, like the city of New Haven, police have nothing to do with this program. It comes out of their zoning department. This is a law at the state level allowing the town to pass an ordinance to address this and start this program. There are no police officers conducting enforcement. So I don't know if that sheds light on your concern as far as providing data to ensure that there's no biases being used. It's a camera. There's calibration that's done. There's evidence of that and proof of that. That's public information you could get a hold of every year because it's calibrated once per year. The number of fines that are given out, you could have that information. The driver of the vehicle, we don't know who they are. There's no way to be biased towards them because we don't know who they are. They're never identified. Their information isn't in any database to be collected or to be analyzed or to be disseminated.
Yeah, I see that as problematic, though. I mean, if that information can't be accessed, it can't be verified by anyone. So I don't know what data I want. I'm not a statistician, but I would feel much more comfortable knowing that someone could say, all right, let's look at the zip codes from where these are coming from. Oh, it appears that drivers from this particular zip code are being charged a lot. And zip code has to do with socioeconomic status, so, or some certain addresses have to do with socioeconomic status. So there are ways that people could glean insight from publicly available data. So I would again ask the board to consider adding language, or perhaps check with council how they would structure some part of this where we can see what's happening. We don't just set this up and kind of trust what's happening behind the curtain, so to speak.
So, my understanding is that it has nothing to do with the driver of the vehicle. It has only to do with the owner of the vehicle. It's just looking at the ownership attached to that plate. And, but there is a potential that, you know, certain cars that come from certain areas might be, maybe it snaps the picture more often, but is it set up to
Well, they're going to snap the picture if they're violating,
Right.
if they're speeding, if
It's
they're
not gonna,
right,
so the
not for
criteria
any other
is
reason.
the speed.
right.
Yeah, it's only.
And if it's gonna do every single car that's over a certain, whatever the limit we set, I think that part takes away from the AI or whatever it is, thinking about maybe we take this, maybe we grab this plate, maybe we don't. If there is no maybe to it, it's just it's very simple in a sense that, look, that car was speeding, we're gonna capture that plate, and we're gonna send them a
Right.
ticket. We're not concerned who's driving, we don't know who's driving.
I mean, I categorize, like, I'm going to Pennsylvania all the time, right, for Lincoln. And his vehicle is registered under me. Not
Yeah.
very long, we're gonna
Yeah.
get changed. Because I got something in the mail, snapped, and I'm like, what is this? I thought it was a mistake, and then I put it 2 and 2, and I'm like, oh no. It,
Yeah.
it's just, it's not a license plate reader, it's just, it's taking the photo of the violation.
Yeah, so, and that's, I think that's an interesting point that you just made, and I think it's important. It's not a license plate reader, it's a license plate recorder after the fact. The car has to be speeding first before the camera does anything. Camera does nothing if the car is not speeding. In a flock system, or that's the license plate reader system, it interprets the plate first, and then it takes action. That's a big distinction, and I think that's one that we sort of just figured out here a little
I
bit.
hope that that's quoted in the day paper
Huh?
when he listens.
Huh?
Because, he's not here, he's going to listen. I hope he puts that in there. I do. Because I think it would alleviate so many issues for people.
Yeah, but I think that's a big difference. It's speeding first, then we take the picture. No speeding, no picture.
And if it's not a good picture, that's what the policeman is
Flock?
gonna look at it and see if it's,
Right.
if you can read the plate or not.
But
right?
flock is, ooh, there's a bad guy, let's alert somebody. That's a whole different, that's a whole different thing,
Right.
and it's a different sequence. My concern right now, though, at the moment,
Okay, so can we just talk about that just quickly, because...
I don't want to lose my thought,
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
because, you know,
It's the same thought.
no. So we had a notice, and we had an ordinance that was attached to the notice that went out, right? And so I want to make sure that we all have the version that went out as public record. And I'm concerned that these are paginated differently, or there's, something's not on mine, I can't seem to tie it to yours somehow. So what I would like to do is, tomorrow, we'll figure out which version actually went with the public notice. We can do that, right, Sandy? Figure out, yeah. And then make sure that we email that to everyone on the board, so we're all looking at the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just when we started to, when I started to actually read through this and kind of, the way that it's reading to me is, yes, there's 30 days, but then there's a max of 60. If the citation is not mailed out to that owner after 60 days, it's invalidated.
Okay,
Vote and get
so
it.
that's, so maybe that's okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is better to
Yeah.
you know, double check clearly,
I-
and run it by legal, but
And I want to make sure that we,
That's fine.
oh, I'm sorry. I want to make sure it's paginated the same
Yeah.
way, so
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
all know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can do that tomorrow. Sandy and I will do that tomorrow. And then we will email the copy that was the one that went out with the notice, because that's the one that we have to, we have to look at before we make our decision. Does that sound like a reasonable approach?
and then you're gonna put this back onto the next
Yeah,
meeting, or
and
you're
then,
gonna call a special meeting?
no, we'll wait till the next meeting, and then we'll,
And then we'll vote on it.
yeah, and then
Okay.
we'll decide who's a yay and who's a nay. How's that?
Okay.
Yep,
Is that good?
sounds good.
All right, thank you.
For all of that.
Interesting distinction, it didn't occur to me, to just, thank you for the question, you know, there you go, all right. That's good, all right. I got, yeah, me too. We'll find our way. All right, so the next is appointments to the CIP committee. I don't know if we have any input from other departments or from, Kevin isn't here today to help us with this. But I think we could appoint, we have 2 members from the Board of Selectmen, right, that go on that committee?
Can I ask some questions
Yeah.
on this? Okay, so do we actually have a process in place to bring people on to this? So I know that you want to appoint 2 from our board, but how is it working with other people coming on to that committee?
So, what we did, the way we did it last time, we had 2 people from Board of Finance, 2 people from the Board of Selectmen,
Yep.
and then we had at-large people, correct?
Yep.
Yeah,
You
and,
mean at large, you mean community members?
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
so
members from the
2
community.
members. So what's the process for those people that are interested? So we're talking about it right now,
Yeah.
but how does the public, how are the public gonna know that they have the opportunity to serve on the CIP committee? And also what experience and what you're looking for? Because this ultimately goes through capital improvement and what's gonna be
Right.
put through our budget. So you want, you know, people that have some knowledge, right?
Yes.
and Of what's going on. So what's the process?
So I think the process would be, for those that are interested, to submit their names to this board. And then we would look at their, I mean, I won't call it a resume, but what their profile is. And then we as a board would decide who would be a good candidate to sit on that committee.
Is there an application of some sort that we?
Nothing
maybe-
formal.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should put something formal in place, not just for the CIP committee, but for any commission or for anything for appointees.
So,
I thought,
That way there's a format.
I mean, I suppose we could go down that road and try to,
I'll apologize ahead of time. You know I'm coming from the Board of Ed, so I like process, I like policy, I like, and I do. And I
No, I
kind of
understand.
feel like we're, you know, it would be nice to have more of a protocol in place. Not just for this
Right.
committee, but for any committee, for any commission, anybody.
so let's look at that and let's see. You have ideas and experience with how they handled that in the Board of Ed. If you want to share some of those ways with us, you don't have to take time at the meeting here, but we could do it between now and the next meeting.
And try to develop
And
something.
try to
that way
develop
it
a
is-
process
yeah,
that,
a
I think that
policy
makes
would be
sense.
good.
Yeah,
could we put it on the agenda for the next meeting?
yeah,
then?
yeah, let's put that on the agenda for the next meeting, and maybe between now and then, Candace, if you have some ideas for how that process might work,
Okay.
please share them, and we'll try to, so we can all discuss it and come up with
Right, and
something.
then, you know, for people.
And
that
then how do we let
they-
people know, right?
Exactly, so I mean, I feel like you can utilize the website, you know, much more than we already do, right? So we talked about this with the cell tower for commentary, all these different things.
Yeah, well,
So-
actually, that went live today, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so, And I was gonna mention that, and I will in a few minutes, but,
So like maybe on the website saying
Yeah.
open seats on certain commissions, da 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 da.
Good idea.
You know what? You
so
know,
if you wanna
we're
serve
looking
on a,
for,
on a
you know,
commission, you have
have
an
like
interest.
a blanketed application where somebody can actually put their information in
Yeah.
along with a resume, maybe something
And-
of that nature.
And not just limited, I mean, someone could certainly email me or anyone on the board saying, hey, I have an interest, and then we could bring it to each other's attention. Does that sound like a reasonable approach?
Yes, my only
Yeah.
concern is that it might not reach, you know, and I'm not saying that anybody's not going to bring the information forward or anything like that. I'm just looking for something more
Centralized.
coordinated, something more solid, right?
So come up with a
Like
system.
qualifications.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Put it on the
Yes.
agenda.
Yeah.
We discuss it.
All right, so we'll get that on the agenda next time. We'll have a broader discussion about it. And Candace, if you have some suggestions or formats that you think might work, share them with us so we can.
I will.
I know you're good like that, so, huh? Okay. With a process, great. Okay, so, so then we'll table, we could decide tonight if there's two, members
Well,
from
you
the.
still want the two from.
We could do that.
ours,
I mean, I
right?
think that
Yeah.
we don't need more of a process for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't delay that too long. I mean, not.
No?
Yeah.
I think if we have people who are ready and willing, and we have a board installed,
Yeah.
we should do it.
Let's do it. So, who has an interest in serving on the committee?
I do not.
Okay, don't jump at it, no. I mean, it would, it is, we usually meet in the afternoon, around 3 o'clock, and during
I do
budget.
not, only because I know that the 3 o'clock does
Yeah,
not.
yeah, no, I get it.
And even
Um,
when you do throw a 3 o'clock on, you gotta zoom me in. It's not
Yep.
Well, if we're desperate, I'll do it.
happening. Roseanne's it.
Do we have anyone else who would like to serve?
I would nominate Anne, but I wouldn't. She did a great job last time.
Yeah,
All right, I'll do it then.
you will do it?
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah.
All right, then I won't have.
Well, we need two.
No, we need
Hey,
to.
listen,
Me
I
too,
just
Roseanne.
freed you up from the Board of Ed. and
Well,
so
it
you
was
now you
saved.
put that time
All
in
right,
there.
so do I hear a motion to appoint Roseanne Hardy to the Capital Improvement Plan Committee?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Oh, I second.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do I hear a motion to appoint Ann Chicallo to the CIP Committee?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I second. Cindy, give it to Cindy.
Yeah.
Give it to
I'll
Cindy.
second
It's her
it.
first.
All right, any discussion? You're okay with that?
Yeah, no,
All right, all right.
Yeah.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations. Glad you're both on it, and,
Yes.
no, we did good work last time. We
Yes.
really did. We
Well,
did
that was
good
much
work,
needed,
and,
absolutely. Yeah.
and it can be a little bit fun. We get on the bus and we drive around, we get to see all the stuff we own, right?
Yeah.
You get to look at snow plows and dump trucks and all kinds of good stuff.
I'm really looking forward to it.
You'll enjoy it. All right. So, new business, Board of Selectmen ex officio appointments. Now, we had a proposed, that's going to be 3, and we're going to make a couple of changes. All right, here we go, 3. So, I'll keep the ones I have, Board of Finance, Police Commission, Water and Sewer. Cindy,
Yes.
if,
All right, what
try-
is the WE?
yeah, well, it's good. It
Well,
says,
so-
that's a good one. It's Waterford East Lyme Shellfish Commission.
Oh, yay.
Hey, and you,
Yeah.
well, yeah, you should be very interested in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be good. Yeah, there's people, some of your neighbors out there that are involved with it, so that's Wellsco. And then Planning Commission
Yes, that's fine.
and Inland Wetlands, another area,
Okay.
sort of complements Wellsco.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, we
No,
changing?
no, yeah, I think I was doing inland wetlands, wasn't I? Or did
No, I was
there a new
doing
one?
inland wetlands.
Oh, all right,
You're-
okay, you're doing it?
Yeah, I'll do.
You're doing the historic and
So-
library.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
got
then,
it.
so then the Board of Ed is gonna go over to Candace. Right, Candace? You want to do
Yes.
the Board of Ed? And then Historic Properties
Goes to me,
goes to you.
okay, and then I have a library.
Yeah, so you'll have, Historic Properties and Library,
Okay.
and Candace will have Parks and Rec, Youth Services, and Board of Ed. That works for you, Candace?
Oh, very much so.
Okay. And Jason, I'll keep you on the same ones you had before?
Yeah, that's fine.
Happy with that?
Yep.
And Roseanne, you're good with the three you had before?
Yes.
Okay.
And
So-
you don't, can I just ask
Yeah.
one? You don't need me on water and sewer? Do you need, because I was on that before. I don't know if you,
Oh, wait a minute, you... Oh, wait, a minute, Water and Sewer, I'm the chairman.
yeah,
It's not really my ex officio. It's your ex officio.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think you need to put me on that, don't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep, okay, yep,
Okay.
there we go.
Yeah.
So my ex officio is the Board of Finance and Police Commission. I'm at the Water and Sewer because I'm the chairman of the Water and Sewer, and you're there as the ex officio.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Sandy, you got those all good? Okay, great. All right, so with those changes, do we hear a motion to, do I need a motion for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Um,
A motion to accept the ex officio assignments?
Move to approve the ex officio assignments for the year, just like, 2026, 2027.
Maybe as
Or
amended?
2027.
As amended, I would
Yeah.
say.
As amended, yeah.
It says as discussed and agreed upon, that's how it goes.
Oh, okay, great. In the, yeah, okay, great. So you've covered that, thank you.
So the motion says to approve the Board of Selectmen 2026, 2027 ex officio assignments as discussed and agreed upon by the board.
I move to approve the Board of Selectmen 2026, 2027 ex officio assignments as discussed and agreed upon by the board.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, everybody's got their ex officio assignments. All right, we got that done. We don't really have any other appointments to boards and commissions. I just wanted that on the agenda so we could keep it as a placeholder. What we will do is, we're getting an updated printout, the most up-to-date one of who's on the boards and commissions and when their commissions are expiring. So what we'll do is, can we email, we can email that, right? It doesn't have to, it's a big sheet, but yeah.
It's on, the way I have it, so that it prints on 11 by 17.
Okay.
If you view it on your computer.
You can view it on the computer.
It's clear.
All right, so what the idea is, we will email that to all the commission members, or the Board of Selectmen members, and then we can try to, at the next meeting, go through the ones that are expiring the soonest, and if there's not a problem with the ones that are already there, we can reappoint them. And we'll try to reach out, make sure that those that are being reappointed are in favor of being reappointed. So we won't do anything tonight on it, but we'll get that information out.
I know that some people are expiring in January of this year, so
Yeah.
that could be added to the next agenda, so we can
Yeah, we want, any that are expiring right away, we want to get
prioritize those.
prioritized and make sure we do those at our next meeting.
Yep.
On the 19th. Yep, that's exactly right. Okay, so now the next, we had added to the agenda, the appointment of the deputies. So I will, do I hear a motion to appoint Ann Chicallo?
Move to appoint Ann Chicallo, 11 Village Drive, East Lyme, to serve as the Deputy First Selectman with a term to expire on December 1st,
Yeah?
It's not December 1st, 2025.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
I move to appoint Ann Chicallo, 11 Village Drive, East Lyme, to serve as Deputy First Selectman with a term to expire at the end of her 4-year term that she was elected to at the previous election.
So
Is that sufficient to pass legal muster?
is that work, you think?
And
Okay,
I'll add the actual date in the motion.
the actual date, okay.
I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's going to contest that in court.
Proofread it.
Okay, all right, so do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Great, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Ann, appreciate I've appreciated your help these past 2 years, and thank you. Do I hear a motion to appoint Jason? Oh, yeah. My deputy.
Move to appoint Jason Diebel of 5 McKinnon Place, East Lyme, as second deputy first selectman with a term to expire on, I think it's December 1st,
2027?
29.
Do you have the, we can get the date that would be, I think it's December 1st.
So I was sworn in on the 2nd. I have a 2-year term, so December 2nd.
Yeah, it might be leap
Oh, you
year.
have a 2-year term.
I'm a 2-week.
Oh, so it's 2 years.
Where are we, 5, so 2029?
No, 2 years.
No, I'm
2 years.
2 years. That'd be cool if I was still deputy and like not even on the board. I'd just show up and
There we go.
order you all around.
December, is that what we said, December 6th?
2027.
2027. Okay, here you go. Thank you.
All right. I'll just repeat it. All right. The term to expire on December 6th, 2027.
All right, do I hear a second?
Well, I'll second.
Second? Okay. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Being none? You
I abstain.
Okay. Jason abstains. Motion carries. And thank you, Jason. Thank you for your help.
Thank you all.
Okay. Well, we got through that one, such as we did. Ex officio reports. Cindy, I'm going to start with you.
Can I make one up? No. I have none.
Oh, good. All right.
I have nothing to report.
Oh, you will.
I have no ex officio report, but I did go to the CABE conference and was able to help support our superintendent being adorned as the superintendent of the year, which is
Really
so amazing. It's absolutely
a real honor.
outstanding.
Yeah.
It is a huge honor.
For our town.
Huge honor. He does a tremendous amount of work,
Yep.
and I'm very proud of him in our district. I served on that committee and
That's
brought
good.
him into the district, and he's homegrown and he's amazing.
There you go.
So,
Well deserved, and
we're
we're
very
fortunate
lucky
to have him. And congratulations
Very lucky to have him.
formally to our superintendent, and we appreciate him. Okay. Any?
I was just going to say that the other day, Dan and I went to the CCN conference, and it was really excellent. Talked to a lot of different vendors. A lot of them already are people who are servicing, vendors who are servicing East Lyme. We got a lot of really useful information. Also went to different seminars, one about like what issues the different towns are facing. As I said before, speeding was the number one. And just another one on artificial intelligence and how it can be used, and very informative and also a little scary, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Kind of going toward what you were saying, Jason, earlier, like some of the things that can be done, which I would definitely be against. But it was a really good day. So that's all I really have to report.
Let's see, Jason, any ex officio? Thank
so, a couple things. Stars to STEM Planetarium is going to have its musical event on December 5th. It's going to be the Littlefield String Band, and Jim Littlefield is a venerable educator from the community. So all his former students and coworkers should come out and see him play in the planetarium under the dome. Should be really nice. And I don't know if this is worth sharing, but the East Lyme 250 small informal group has been kind of coalescing around some ideas to plan cultural events for next year. And it's starting to pick up steam, starting to come together. So you can look for more kind of substantive updates in the future. And also, while I'm talking about informal stuff, talking to folks around the area who have been elected to office, kind of just informally, to see if there can be some kind of intertown cooperation. And a lot of ideas have been explored, and only one that I would really want to kind of bring before you guys now is just the prospect of potentially having a grant writer shared among towns. Of course, this is kind of something that really needs to be thought of, especially when towns would be in competition for competitive grants. But I know Candace and I have been kicking this idea around for 2 years now, and I think everyone's kind of like, yeah, a grant writer would be a super awesome idea if we could pull it off. So there is appetite amongst other towns to maybe collaborate and kick in some money for a salary, something to think about. So I just want to bring that to the board members' attention.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if anyone would like to offer some suggestions for the 250th committee, Jason and I are both working on that. Contact either one of us. Our basic idea is to keep things simple, to try to amplify on events that already happened, to try to set up a calendar so that we don't have five different things going on the same night. And we've made some initial contacts. We have a lot of ideas, but there's never enough ideas. So pitch in, please.
Sounds great.
Other than that, I don't have an ex officio, but I noticed that Mr. Geisha was here tonight. Was he supposed to make a comment or presentation?
I don't have to. Inland Wetlands met last night. They opened the public hearing on the regulations. I think due to the weather, nobody showed up. The public hearing remains open. So if you have any comments on those, it's a major overhaul to our inland wetland regulations. So I think it's pretty significant. So if you see an empty room, it's a little surprising. They had to be comments on the traffic stuff. I can speak at some delegations coming out. I know I didn't speak during the public hearing. I did hear some comments that came out subsequent to the public hearing that I don't know that I can necessarily speak on because the public hearing closed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I just wanted to make sure that we hadn't overlooked something.
Okay. Thank you. Any other ex officio reports?
It's all you.
I don't have an ex officio report, but I do have a first selectman's report. So, first of all, I want to welcome Cindy Collins to the board.
Thank you.
Happy to have you here, and you'll get used to all this stuff as we all did, and
A little different from
you'll
planning.
enjoy those
Yeah.
ex officio meetings. So, but no, it's wonderful to have you here, and so welcome. And I want to congratulate all the other members of the Board of Selectmen that are back here. Congratulations on being reelected. And we all worked well together the last couple of years, and we will continue to do so. And I'm looking forward to that. Ann already mentioned the meeting that this conference we went to yesterday. It really was it really was a great thing. You had first selectmen, mayors, CEOs from the various municipalities in the region, and vendors were there that provide services to the towns. As I said, I met with the one that for the traffic cameras, but there were others as well, and it was very informative. I got a lot of magic markers and pads and little flashlights and all kinds of stuff from these guys, candies and everything else. But no, there's a lot of information there, but not the least of which, one of them I was with, one of the breakout sessions, I was with Rob Rule from Waterford. And, we had a nice discussion, and of course I've, talked to them many times before, but we were just mentioning, collaborating with other towns and trying to see where we can pool our resources and not always reinvent the wheel. And he's very open to that too. And so we're going to try to come up with some areas where we can, share resources and save a little bit of money along the way. So that was good.
Governor Lamont spoke also.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
He spoke for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, Governor Lamont was there, and he gave a nice talk and kind of explained the new housing bill that's out there and gave some context to it, and tried to, it's a lot to understand, and every time you hear somebody talk about it, you get a little little more of what's going to be on planning and zoning and what the future's going to hold and the requirements of towns and things that we're going to have to do to be in good stead with that new legislation. We have some things coming up. We have the light parade, which is the evening on 12/13, and then in the morning, it's the Jingle 5K. Did they change the name of it this year? What's it called now? It's the Jingle 5K.
It's the same,
Yep.
and if anybody wants to join our team, we are doing it.
You're gonna run. You're gonna.
Yeah, they won't let me run. They put a speed limit on me. I have to.
You run too fast.
We're up to
Yeah,
13.
Trigger those automatic ticketing cameras.
Wow.
Yeah, they'll be catching you on the camera. There we go. Oh, I want to thank. Oh, I meant to say it. I put a little arrow. I want to thank everybody that did attend the swearing-in ceremony. A lot of people showed up, and I appreciate. It was very gracious of everyone to be there and watch us all get sworn in. The Route 161 I-95 project. So I want to anybody that's watching and just make as many people as I can aware in different ways. On 12/8, that's when they're going to start another blasting phase for that project. And it'll probably be for at least that week. I don't know how much longer beyond that week it'll go. But there'll be warnings. There are ways to get notice by email. So you go to the website and there'll be information there. You can go to the DOT website and public safety too as well. One of the good things is there's less material that they have to blast, so it won't be as pervasive as the last phase of the blasting that they had to do. And the stone that they're blasting is further away from the roadways, so the downtime in between when they actually have to shut the roads down will be less because there less debris, they predict, will make it onto the roadway that'll have to be cleared. So hopefully this won't be as painful as the last time that they did the blasting. One of the things, though, that I'm concerned about, and they agreed that they would let me know, and they're going to let the police know, I'm sure. There'll be there is the was it the Carolot? Is that the daycare center we were concerned? Yeah.
Carolot, yes.
So there'll be some blasting that'll be proximate to Carolot, and I wanted to be sure that I was aware when that was going to happen, and then they let the police department be aware, and they're going to be making sure to let the people that run the Carolot to make sure the little kiddies are inside the building when they're doing any blasting, and I want them to let me know directly, and I asked them to please let me know when it gets close, because I may just run down there just to, make sure.
Get a lift?
Huh?
Get a lift?
No, but I want to be in the know. So anyhow.
I was a teacher at a school that had a construction project nearby that was doing blasting, and they had everyone's faith that they were doing the right thing, and large boulders ended up hurling through the sky over the playground. One actually destroyed a teacher's car.
Oh my God.
Really?
So again, this is anecdotal evidence. I'm sure that they are very safe in following regulations, but
They've done a good job. Manafort's done a great job, and yeah, but you never know, right?
But I lived through that moment
Yeah.
and was pretty impressed upon me that is some powerful stuff they're doing.
Dan, can I just ask a question?
Yeah,
When
sure.
do you need the comments for the cell tower? What's the date on that?
I think it was we have to submit them, I think is it January 26th? I think it's January 26th, so we would want them.
By the end of December?
But yeah, well, first week of January would be fine, or second
Okay.
week. Yeah.
Okay.
But certainly at least a week before that.
Okay.
So we can put them together and make sure there's not duplicates. And,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, of course. And let's see, and then, they're also going to have a seismograph near any buildings. So they're really being very careful how they do the blasting, so. Okay, and then I already mentioned earlier, but I'll mention it again. The portal for comments about the cell phone tower, it's up and running, and we tested it out this afternoon, so that's there. So I encourage anyone that has concern or comment, put it on the portal so we can relay it to the powers that be up at the siting council. That's all I have for this evening. I don't know, any public comment, communications?
I think Gary
Well,
was
looks like
Gary,
Gary's going to
yes.
speak.
waiting very patient.
I guess briefly, in regards to the traffic device systems, those will need an 8-24 review by the Planning Commission before they're installed, because there'll be equipment related to traffic. While the public may not have a public hearing to weigh in with the Planning Commission, looking at the POCD, most likely it'll be found consistent, so I don't really anticipate any issues there. But just it's a formality that you'll have to go through before you maybe budget and pass your appropriations and things like that.
What section was that? So I can,
8-24 of the Connecticut General Statutes for municipal improvements.
okay.
You go through the planning, you said?
Planning Commission reviews it for consistency with the plan of development.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Any other public comment this evening? All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn the December 3rd, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen at 9:02 PM.
Do I hear a second? Second, all right. We're adjourned.